Hi everyone. So today I want to talk about cosmos. We are near the end of summer. We're mid-August right now, and although that sounds nasty when I say it, it is the truth. And we are that time of year where things start looking a bit spindly and shaggy. And the cosmos definitely are showing some signs of wear and tear. You can see here that we've got a lot of spent blooms happening. And we also have some thin growth here on the stems that they're not bushy like they should. And that is my fault because I did not pinch them back in the spring. Now, cosmos are an easy to grow annual flower. They grow in pretty much every climate because they are an annual flower and they come in a variety of colors and shades. And there's even double cosmos now, double flowering cosmos like the powder puffs and that you can get, which are glorious. And I planted last year and they were beautiful around the bird bath. So this year I've also planted the powder puffs again, and I added the early sensations here in the boulevard because I like the varying shades of pink that come with these cosmos. So they come in this pretty shade of pink. They come in a lighter pink, a white, and then they come in a magenta, a deep, deep magenta. Let me see if I can find one here to show you that's not completely spent. Right here. So they come in a variety of really beautiful shades. And then the powder puffs, which are just starting to open over here, are white doubles. And they get bigger than that. They're going to get about this big. So they'll get as big as these, but they will be doubles. So the reason, if you look at my cosmos here, from this end all the way down, you will see varying heights. And the reason we're seeing a variety of heights in this bed, they aren't all the same height, is watering. Now, I have sprinklers in the lawn that are watering this bed. So where they're hitting the area more so, like this area here is getting cross hit by two sprinklers, and where it's less, they're shorter. So if we walk down to the end here, you will see that we're seeing some varying heights where they hit. But when we get closer to the end, they are much shorter here, which is fine. They're still beautiful, and there's a lot of flowers here. You can see them here, the height on them. And they look just fine. And I think they're a little more bushier down here. Now, because they like moist, well-drained soil, it's okay to have the sprinklers hit them, but you really should pinch them back in areas where you're going to have overhead watering happening, or in areas that maybe don't get as much water to help them bush out. Otherwise, they're going to be long like this. And this one is extremely long and spindly in my opinion. So we need to cut it back. Now, you can collect the seeds off these. When they dry up, you can pick the flower heads off right there when it dries, and you can collect those seeds for next year. So that's the nice part about growing cosmos, is that you can harvest seeds and grow them from year to year. They do very, very well. So let's go through these, and I'm just going to show you a few things happening here that I've noticed. Number one, I'm noticing a lot of little bugs on them. So they've had some dryness. You can see them moving around there, so they need to be cut back to remedy that. I'm not going to use any pesticides on them. You can see it on these too. So we're going to deal with that. And if we cut the spent flowers off, that will help as well. And if we want, we can collect seed right now. But I think I'm going to wait another month before I collect seed until we have a good frost, and then I'll dry them out and collect the seed. Now, the other thing I notice I need to be aware of is we have a very strange day happening here. We got rain overnight, and it's been misting all day. And it's cool. It's only, the high was supposed to be 29 Celsius, but it only got up to 20. So some of the bees are sleeping in the cosmos, and these are a real attractor for pollinators. So the bees love them. So if we look at these flowers very, very carefully, we will see bees sleeping. If I can show it without disturbing him, you can see him there. And then there's a bigger one. I think he's right there, sleeping. So I will have to be careful when I prune them. But I want to take them down half, and I'll leave the ones where the bees are. I'm not going to touch them. So let's prune these back. And we can get rid of some of the bugs we're seeing. Like this flower is spent and it's attracting the little bugs. So we want to get rid of those and clean it all up. Oops, that scared me. Mourning doves in the morning glory. That's interesting. They're always in there. Hopefully they aren't nesting. If they are, I'll have to leave them. So we'll come through, we'll trim these all back, we'll take them down to half, and I will show you how I prune them out. And I will warn you guys, it might seem harsh because there will be some blooms that will be sacrificed, but sometimes in order to achieve a show of flowers and more blooms, you have to cut them back and take a shot. Now, for anybody who hasn't visited this channel before, I am in Saskatchewan, Canada, zone 3B. So I'm in a cold climate that has a really varied temperature range. We go anywhere up to the high 30s Celsius, and in the winter we can go into the minus 40s Celsius, and with wind chills and stuff, 50s, sometimes even higher if the wind is really, really bad. So extreme climates here. But since these are an annual, we grow them in the summer and then we replant the following year. So these plants are not impacted by it. They are not a perennial. They're just an annual, and you replant from seed every year. And for planting from seed, you don't need to start them inside. No matter what climate you're in, you can direct sow them. They do just fine direct sowed. In fact, I think they do better. I think they're stronger than they are when you start them inside. So that would be my first tip to you. I always find it so interesting how some bees sleep and how some bees are out and about like it's no big deal. I'm not sure why, if it's because they're younger, that they can handle the cold better or what. But we got bees that are swarming around here, doing their thing, and then we got some that are sleeping in the flowers. So we will be careful. So I'm going to start right here where I have tall cosmos. You can see way up here how tall that is, and we're going to give it a prune. I just got to stabilize here so I can show you how far I'm taking these down. So if we look at this plant going down, we want to look for where the plant is sending out new shoots. So if we look here and we don't get stung, we have new shoots coming off right here, and we have flowers up here. Now I want to take these down a ways so that they bush, because you can still get them to bush out even though it's later. So what we're going to do is looking at this flower and looking at the level where the other flowers are all the way along here, we're going to try to take it down to where it's a little bit maybe lower or even with these flowers. So I'm going to start by taking this down to right here. So you can see I am sacrificing some blooms we have here, but we have new buds coming right here in the plant, and we're getting rid of these spent flowers. So that will help the plant bush out. So that's just how we're going to go and do it. The same with these. We're just going to take those out just like that. And I'm just going to go through and take off anything that is spent and looks terrible. So like right here, just like that. Same with this one. We're going to trace it down to where it intersects, right here, down here, and cut it off. And that's how we're going to stimulate growth on them, and we're getting rid of those dead flowers and any bugs on them. It already looks better just taking that off. Here's another example right here. We're going down into the stem where the joint is, if you can see right here, and I'm taking that off right there. And cleaning that out. So let's do the rest of them. Now, if you have a stem that doesn't have a joint on it, just take it down to the next leaf set, right like that. And that will clean them up. Makes a huge difference already. They're looking way better. And I'm going to take anything that's busted off as well. So you see over here we have a lot of seed pods happening right here. So I'm going to clean these all up. So you can see how I'm taking them out. Anything leaning over or too far bent, we remove. So you can see all the buds here. So there's no issue with pruning these back because they have so many more buds, and now they'll even bloom more, as you can see here. Even where I've cut them back, there's new buds coming right here at the tips. So a good haircut does not hurt them. So I'm going to go around now to the other side and cut them back. And like I said, I'm leaving the tall ones at the end where the bees are sleeping and not disturbing them. But you can see a lot of bees are hard at work. So it's just I'm checking each flower as I go through and cutting them back. So let's go around to the other side. So you can see here the powder puff variety is much shorter and more compact here. You can see in comparison the blooms are way shorter and more robust, which I really like about that blend. They seem to stay bushier, and so I would say with the powder puff you don't need to prune them back. Sorry, pinch them back in the spring because they are so bushy and that. And just deadhead the dead flowers off of them. So you can see right here, if I can get an angle on this, that is a powder puff. See the double blooms? I'm just going to pick it and show you. So here's what a powder puff looks like. I just think they're sweet and it's just opening versus a regular Cosmo. And we'll just pull one of these and you can see the differences between the two. Aren't they gorgeous, the powder puff? And look at the bugs on the regular Cosmo and how clean and clear. There's just one crawling on that powder puff. So they seem to be more disease resistant too. So that's the nice thing about the newer varieties is they are hardier and less pests. And I love the shape of the leaves and the double around the center here, how it doubles compared to the single. But the single's pretty too. I think they're really pretty together. All right, so let's prune the rest of these back. And with the powder puffs, we'll just take off any dead flowers, but they're just coming into the bloom. They're much later. And I think I put them in a week or two after I planted the other Cosmos. I'm just going to go in here and take off some of these spent blooms. And you can see what I'm cutting off right here. I'm leaving as many buds as I can, so for anything that's spent, then I will take it too. And I've already done a pretty good cleanup on these, but you want to make sure you take everything you can off for the show. It's all about the show. If you have branches like this, you can see these branches right here, you need to cut them back too because they're dying back bad. So that needs a cleanup. All right, so you can see that I've cut these all back. They're a lot more even in their height. I did leave the sleeping one, which is really tall, and when he comes off there, I'll prune it back in the next day or so, but I've evened them out a little bit, and lots of buds. Now, a comment I want to make on this is my methods are what works for me. I tend to prune stuff hard sometimes, and to promote growth and blooms and stronger plants. I don't like to stake stuff if I can help it. So some people say your cosmos need to be staked. Well, I live in a very windy province. We can get super heavy duty winds, and I have not been staking these. And if I keep pruning them back and make them bushier and the stem stronger, I don't need to stake these. So that is the key for me as a gardener. But every gardener has their own methods and what they feel works for them, and I am good with that. Use the methods that work best for you. If you want to adopt some of the things I do, great, and I appreciate it. If you have some other tips that work well for you, let me know. Love to hear them. We all learn from each other, and no method is totally the best method. Sometimes a multitude of methods work the best. So now I'm going to fertilize these with granular fertilizer. Before I fertilize, I just want to show you a lily that decided to bloom late. Isn't it gorgeous? I need to move these. It's not a good spot for them. It's too dry. But you can see how pretty that is. Wouldn't a row of them be gorgeous? All right, so the fertilizer I'm going to use is the Mother Hen fertilizer. You can see I've been using this for a while, and I'm going to add it. Just take handfuls and sprinkle it in all the way along. This is what the fertilizer looks like. It looks like pellets or rabbit pellets or kitty litter pellets, and I just sprinkle them in the bed just like that. I keep it real simple and just sprinkle them in all the way along. And the thing is too, there's alliums and the odd tulip that I didn't get removed underneath here, so that'll fertilize them too. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know how you handle your cosmos and what they look like and varieties you recommend. I pretty much tried every variety going, but I'm always looking for new ones. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.